Hello, this is Adam with DreamMade Productions. This video is made possible by the very kind donations of viewers like you. Thank you. If you are in a position to help this channel improve quality and grow, please visit my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. So, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I would have been almost 3 years old when this show first came on the air. Because of that, the memories that I have of the show and of the toys are most likely from syndicated reruns. The toys themselves are some of the first ones that I had. Because of that, my memory of them is a little questionable. I do remember having them. I do remember having them for a long time, but I was primarily a fan of G.I. Joe, and He-Man got kind of abandoned after I was, I don't know, 6 or so, maybe. It's hard to say. I'd have to ask my mom. For those of you who don't know or don't remember, He-Man was a cartoon show and toy line. Mattel made the toys and Filmation made the cartoon. Let's go ahead and take a look at the opening of the cartoon to refresh everyone's memories or introduce you to this so you can go back and watch it. I think pretty much all of the episodes are up on YouTube at this point.
And the Masters of the Universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
Man, those early 80s cartoons, they were interesting. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this look at all the He-Man stuff I could find. Now, I remember, I think, having a little bit more than this, so there may be another box somewhere, and there is one other thing that we will look at in detail in its own video as soon as I can find it in my dad's basement. I remember seeing it in there like a couple of years ago, so I'm assuming it's still there. But in the meantime, let's get started, take a look at some of the He-Man stuff I have, along with something a little extra at the end. I hope you enjoy. Alright, first up we have the man himself, He-Man. The first wave of He-Man toys, as you can imagine. Dirty here. Pretty detailed, lots of muscle on this guy. Now his head was made of this like rubbery plastic, so it was very giveable. The rest of it was hard plastic. As you can see, it had some articulation. Could bend at the waist, could move the legs. He's got his loincloth there, got some unpainted bracers on his arms, bare legs, and wrapped up feet. Now, let's take a look at this. I have his chest harness. This thing was complicated as a kid. Had all these little buckles and stuff that you had to get on there right for it to stay. In hindsight, this probably never should have been removed. I don't think it ever went on him right again, but I'll try to get it on him here. Down in there. Turn around here. Oh, got him off camera here. Oh, there we go. In there, try to latch it back here, and you know, I'm not gonna try it. I don't want to break this thing, but yeah, it's just, I think you're supposed to stretch it some, but this thing is 40 years old, so I also have some of his accessories. I have his axe here. It stays in his hand okay. And I have his power sword here. And he originally came with a shield. I'm not going to keep him. I think my mom wants him, and if she does, I'll give it to him. Or her. Next up, I have Battle Cat. I actually have 2 Battle Cats. He was Cringer in the show like this. It was a coward until he turned into Battle Cat. The magic of the power sword. And he got this armor, which I'll try to put on here for you. Break this thing, so I'm just going to kind of lightly put it on here. And as you can see, He-Man can sit in the saddle there, and I do have the mask. There we go. Here's the mask. He would get this too when he transformed. And there you go. He goes from being the cowardly cat Cringer to being fierce Battle Cat. Next up, I have Skeletor, the bad guy. He looks so clean because he was absolutely so filthy that I put him in the sink and washed him off for this video. As you can see, he does have some articulation. Alright, I've got his Havoc staff. Now, it actually stays in his hand pretty well. Originally had a power sword too, but I don't know where that is. It may show up at some point. I've got his harness. It works pretty much the same way as He-Man's harness, and most of the other harnesses work the same way. Get that on there. Get that on there. Whoever designed these harnesses, they should have just molded it on there. I guess. Nah, it would have cost more, but whatever. There's kind of what he looked like. And I'm sure he had other accessories that I'm missing. I think all I've got is his Havoc staff. And here's his loincloth. Go with his furry shorts. Just hold it. Try to get it on there. You can see where it's frayed at the back. A little kid trying to get this on and off and to stay. And there you go. There's Skeletor. Next up, I have Man-at-Arms. As you can see, his hands have seen better days. I don't know if I did that as a toddler or if a dog got a hold of it. His legs are a little loose. This is the only accessory that I have for Man-at-Arms, his club. He came with a chest piece and a lot of other accessories, but to my knowledge, they're all gone now. Next up, I have Beastman, one of Skeletor's lackeys, from what I can remember. He's articulated like the others. Now for him, I have his little harness vest thing. His is made a little differently than the others. It just has these two straps. Goes around his head there. Get it on as best I can on the back here. And he had the same articulation. Now he had two of these, but I only have the one and it's broken. Next I have Ram Man. Now, I'm pretty sure this guy was my favorite out of everybody, but he has the lowest articulations. His arms move just a little teeny bit, and his legs will fold up in. He does have a spring-loaded action, which will cause him to shoot forward. Let me demonstrate that where you can see it a little better. Yeah, you can see he'll jump forward a little. Back when that spring was stronger, you could use him to do his namesake and batter ram down some block walls, some wooden block walls or something. This axe was his accessory, his weapon. It slides right down and this pegs into his fist here, but with his arm having such little range of motion, it's really just for posing. Next up, Two-Face, I think. I don't remember this guy's name. He has a spring-loaded fist action, and he would torso twist, and his legs move like all the others. It's just, you know, he had two heads. I do believe he was kind of one of the comic relief of the two heads bickering all the time in the show. Next up, I have Man-E-Faces. As you can see, you can turn this. Let me see if I can get the camera to cooperate. And his face will change. He's got a robot face. He's got an orc face, we'll go ahead and call it. And, of course, his human face. I think in the show he had more faces than that, but that's in the toy here. I do have at least one of his accessories. I don't know if it was his only one. I'm pretty sure it was his. Was this orange laser pistol thing. It fits in his hand pretty well. Next up, I don't remember this guy's name. I do remember seeing him a while back getting, you know, a new figure release, because they, ooh, yep, his head's broken. He got a new figure now. This had a water shooting gimmick. You could put water in it and press this little button, and it would kind of shoot out of his trunk there. Now, since he had that inside, he has a tank in there. He won't torso twist. Merman, I remember him, another one of Skeletor's flunkies, and one where, to my knowledge, that vest was never taken off. So it's still on there 40 years later. He's got these inhuman feet, and he's got the same articulation, but his shoulder pads stop his arm from turning all the way around. Otherwise, he's the same as the other early figures. Next up, I don't remember his name. He was the cat that Skeletor would ride. I do have his armor, which is just a different color armor for Battle Cat. It's the same mold and everything, just a different color. I don't remember this guy being in the show. I'm sure he was. There was a whole bunch of episodes. I don't remember him. But just like Battle Cat, Skeletor can sit on his cat. Originally in the toys, they talked about how all of these good guys and bad guys were supposed to be mirrors of each other. Next up, I have Evil Lynn, one of the female figures that they made. She was pretty cool in the show, and in the early 2000s remake, they made her even cooler. She has a cool look to her with this kind of yellow skin. She has pretty good articulation here, though her legs articulate very strangely. Showing off some booty there. But I also have Teela, who played a very different part in the original little mini comics versus the show. But as you can see, other than the head, they are the same figure. Everything else, at least to me, looks exactly the same except the paint job and the head. But I have one more. I have She-Ra, the Princess of Power. This was the toy line that was for girls, so it's like a doll with actual hair instead of it just being molded on. I don't have any of her accessories, and as you can see, her articulation is very different than the other He-Man figures because she was designed by a different team and was really meant to sell to girls. I had her because she was, He-Man's sister, and I did watch the She-Ra show too. It was actually deeper than you would think for a girl show. One of my favorite episodes is where the pirate guy finds his father. That was surprisingly deep. Next up, I have Trapjaw, and as you can see, he's in several pieces. So you can see a little better how these figures went together. They just had this rubber that looped around the crotch, for lack of a better term, and just held the legs on. And in this case, it's 40 years old and is broken. His head turns, but it's made of hard plastic instead of the soft because his jaw actually moves. That was a big thing in the show. He was sort of the evil man-at-arms, weapons expert, whatever. His one arm would turn all the way around, and his other one was basically the same way, but it had a gimmick where different attachments could go in. I have his gun here. He originally had several of these attachments, but the only one that I have, or at least the only one that I know I have, is this gun. Next up, we have this guy, whose name I also don't know. Sorry, I'm not a huge He-Man fan, but the Bee guy here. His head turns, his wings fold out, his arms, put those away, his arms will spin all the way around. And he's got an open claw in one hand and a closed claw in the other. So they went through the trouble of creating him his own special hands. He's got the weird non-human feet and some fins on his legs, and then he's got this pin on the back which lets his plastic wings fold out, and of course he spins at the torso. Now we have this guy. He, as I remember him, he's one of Pordak's men. His head doesn't turn, his arms will spin all the way around, but his ears get in the way. And in the show he had 4 legs, and this they just molded 2 of them together. And then we have this, which causes his eyes to pop out. He was a She-Ra bad guy, another comic relief bad guy, and I thought he was cool. I actually liked some of the She-Ra bad guys more than the He-Man bad guys. I think this is his accessory. Now, I don't remember, so don't quote me on this, but I seem to remember this being his. Maybe I just played with him with this. I don't know, but it works fairly well with him. You can lock this back here, and this little crossbow kind of sort of works. It'll latch on here, and then you can press this button, which will release it and kind of shoot it forward. Let's see if I can demonstrate this better. There you go. See, it pops forward just a little teeny bit, enough to knock a figure over, maybe. if it's standing there. Next up, I have Leech, another member of the Horde, one of Hordak's minions. He had a stick-on glass feature where you could press this button and it would pump the air out so he could cling to, glass or some surface like that. And then he had suction cups on his hands so he could also stay up. You couldn't move his head any. He didn't turn at the waist any. He did have standard articulation at his arms and legs, and they did mold on these suction cup feet, but they didn't actually give him suction cups for his feet. I remember having this in kindergarten. Next up, we have one of the Horde troopers. Let's go with inspired by Star Wars here. His head turns, his arms move some. He has pretty good articulation with them, but the chest plate gets in the way. He can't turn at the waist, but his legs do move in the weird He-Man way. This, I think, is his. I associate it with him, and it does go into his hand, sort of, but he doesn't hold it well. Now, if you hit this plate, his chest opens up and he bursts. These guys in the She-Ra cartoon were getting destroyed left and right, so it was neat that they gave you that play feature to so you could have a person come in and destroy him. It was a neat play feature. Let's use He-Man here, and pow, pow. See, there you go. Hit him so hard his chest falls apart. Very neat toy. I had a lot of fun with this guy. He even was a Cobra big robot for a while when I would play with my G.I. Joe figures. This guy, I think I'm going to keep him around. He just has this cool look. Now let me show you something else. This is the Thunder Tank. This is from Thundercats, kind of, I'm going to call it a sister show of He-Man. I don't know if it had all that much to do with He-Man, but I associate the two because they came on, as far as I can remember, back to back a lot. Back when I watched television. I love this thing. It's the only Thundercats thing I have. It originally had rubber treads on it, but they broke and were lost when I was a kid, so they're long gone. I played with them with my He-Man figures, though they didn't fit all that well. You know, He-Man could sit in here and drive this thing. It actually worked a lot better with the girls. You could put Evil Lynn or Tila in here. They would kind of low rider it, but they would sit in there pretty well. Now this had a play feature here. If you turn it to the back, there's this lever here, and if you hit that, it would open up and pop out and stuff. The springs are really weak after 40 years or whatever, but that's what it looked like when it was in attack mode. Its claws would go up, its mouth would open, these little guns would pop out and you could move them around, and this big turreted gun at the back would come up. It couldn't spin or anything, it could kind of tilt up and down, but man, this thing looked cool in the show. I just didn't have any of the toys. This thing, I'm going to keep it. It's just too cool. I'm going to keep it around. Well, guys, I'm going to let this He-Man music play for a little longer. They did a great job orchestrating this show. It has that great 80s synth future sound to it. Very iconic, just like the G.I. Joe and Transformers music that they made. Really sticks out in my head as 80s. Anyway, I'm going to give most of these toys to my mom. I'm probably going to keep the Horde Trooper around, and I'm definitely keeping the Thunder Tank. I'm going to give the rest to my mom so that she can decide what she wants to keep and see if anybody in the family wants these. Maybe one of my little nephews or nieces or something will want the others. They're just too damaged and stuff, I think, to sell and be worth anything. And boy, do they have to be clean. They're just filthy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed looking at these. I've got plenty more boxes to open. I've got some tons of G.I. Joe stuff we'll be getting through here in a bit. I've got lots of other stuff floating around, and this is just the stuff that I managed to find and bring to my house. There is a giant pile of stuff that's in my dad's basement. Most of it's probably junk, but we'll make some videos and go through it looking at it anyway. Let me know below, were you a big He-Man fan? Did you enjoy Thundercats? What about those other 80s cartoons, Silverhawks and stuff? Let me know below your thoughts. And as always, I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.
Hello, this is Adam with Dream Made Productions. Thank you for watching my content. It really means a lot that you have given me the chance to entertain you. If you would like to support the channel, please visit my Patreon at patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, linked below. Also below is a link for PayPal, or links if you would like to send crypto, if that's more your thing. Please know any amount that you give will be cherished and used to upgrade equipment and improve the channel. You can also help the channel by subscribing, turning on notifications, liking, commenting, and sharing my channel with anyone you think might be interested. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.